You guys, we need to talk about... What the... What is this? What is this? Who put this here? Who the put this here? Someone needs to tell me who the Happy Tuesday, Potterheads! It was my mom who put it here. It's okay, guys. Don't worry. It's just a joke. Today we're going to talk about Chapter 18 of Chamber of Secrets, and, we're going to do a little bit of everything. Yeah, that's what we're going to do today. But first, let's go to the recap. The kids go into McGonagall's office, and Molly and Arthur are there and super relieved to see Ginny alive. They ask Harry how they got out, and he explains almost everything. Then McGonagall prods for more, and Dumbledore takes over telling them about Ginny and the diary. Mr. Weasley is upset with Ginny, but Dumbledore reassures him that she couldn't have resisted because Voldemort's so powerful. Then Dumbledore asks about Lockhart, and Ron explains how he lost his memory. Dumbledore asks Ron to take Lockhart to the hospital, and then he talks with Harry alone. They talk about Harry and Voldemort's similarities and differences, and then as Harry's leaving, Lucius Malfoy busts in. Malfoy is mad to see Dumbledore back, and Dumbledore calls him out for all the conniving and terrible stuff he did, and basically accuses him to his face of being a Death Eater. Then as Malfoy leaves, Harry gives him back the diary and a sock, and Malfoy throws the sock at Dobby and sets him free. Malfoy is about to attack Harry, but Dobby stops him. Harry goes down to the feast, and everyone's happy except Draco. The kids head to the train, and Harry gives them his phone number. The end. Thanks, Recap! If this is your first book club video, welcome! Don't forget that you can subscribe at that button below and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single chapter as we reread the entire Harry Potter series. And if you'd like to catch up, just click that card in the top left corner right there. We got a little bit of everything today, guys. I'm not even kidding. We're gonna do a little analysis, parenting, in defense of Hermione, little open letter / mental health. It's gonna be great. Oh my god. That's so much to... Okay, let's go. First things first, let's talk about Arthur Weasley and Lucius Malfoy. We see kind of another example of just the stark difference between these two early on in this chapter. Mr. Weasley gets upset at Ginny for trusting the diary and for using it so extensively. And not to go in too early on the parenting, but like, come on, Arthur, she's traumatized. Save it for later. But Mr. Weasley tells her that he has always said to never trust anything that can think for itself if you can't see where it keeps its brain. Which is pretty good advice, really, even if it's only applicable to wizards and not muggles. And hey, maybe that's where his obsession with taking apart Muggle stuff started. Maybe our technology looks to him like it's thinking for itself, and he takes them apart to figure out where it keeps its brain. But when there's no brain to be found, he's just flummoxed. Anyway, what separates him from Lucius in all of this is that Lucius clearly loves things that think for themselves and you can't see where their brain is. Like the diary, and so many other dark objects. Really, it seems like making a dark object kind of just involves giving it some self-thought. Wait, are all robots made of dark magic? Ah! Which makes me wonder, not the robot part, but when and why did Lucius and Arthur's feud start? They clearly have more than just a little animosity toward each other. I understand Arthur's distaste, but why does Lucius even bother himself with the Weasleys? I mean, if he really thinks he's so much better than them, why does he pay any attention? Lucius really doesn't have much reason to despise the Weasleys, at least not any more than any other blood traders. Unless... What if Lucius has ulterior motives with the diary? Okay, stick with me. When Dumbledore is talking to Lucius about Voldemort's plans, he mentions how lucky it is that Harry and Ron figured it all out. Lucky so that Ginny wouldn't take all the blame and so that wouldn't reflect so poorly on Arthur and basically ruin Arthur's career and his family. Dumbledore even says, just imagine all the consequences of that. So what if, and I'm gonna go against one of my previous videos this season, linked to that in the card, what if Lucius was not only slipping the diary into Hogwarts to fulfill Voldemort's wishes, but also for a little bit of his own? What if, during the First Wizarding War, Lucius was supposed to kill the Weasleys, but failed to do so? What if that's what starts the Dark Lord disfavoring him, and so he's trying to kill two birds with one stone, pun intended? Because why else would he slip the diary to the child of someone that he knows way too well and could totally point him out? Why not just slip it to some rando kid who would never know the difference and would never be able to accuse him of anything? Really, any kid could have done it. There are plenty of other pure-blood kids who probably have no idea of Lucius Malfoy's existence. But nope, he tries to finish what he couldn't do before and tries to destroy the Weasley family. But even this time, he fails. Well, he fails twice here, actually. So maybe that's part of the reason that Voldemort is so upset with the Malfoys when he returns to full strength. Not only because Lucius was a punk who abandoned the cause, but also because his once great second-in-command continues to fail at all of his charges. I don't know. I mean, it could be possible. So that's about all for the main topic today, you guys. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And now it's time for... In Defense of Hermione! Ron is the one who bursts out that Hermione's gonna be okay. Just a quickie today. In Defense of Hermione! We're blowing through the segments today, guys. Okay, let's talk about something that disappointed me while I was reading this chapter. Yes, it is time for another open letter of disappointment. Your Highness, Queen Jo. We all love to laugh at Gilderoy Lockhart. Yes, it's true. His narcissism is delightfully icky, his self-obsession is hilariously off-putting, and his inability to fully understand what's going on around him, well, it's just fun. But I must admit, something in the final chapter of Chamber of Secrets rang a little differently with me this time around. Lockhart has lost his memories, as we all know, and it is largely due to his own attempt at harming two young boys. Even still, when Dumbledore announces that Lockhart will not be returning to school because he needs to tend to his mental well-being, many of the teachers are applauding vociferously, and laughing too. I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed by this. Yes, he is not intended to be much of a sympathetic character in the slightest, but knowing what we know now, that Lockhart would never recover his memories and would live out his days in St. Mungo's psychiatric ward, well, it's just made me sad. I know you wrote this book 20 years ago, so there is some forgiveness, of course. Total permanent memory loss and mental illness serious enough to hospitalize him for life were much more common fodder for comedians in the 90s. But this is 2018, so I have to say, mental illness is never something to be laughed at or made fun of, even when it happens to someone we love to hate. Yours in disappointment, Kevin. Oh, let's shake that off. Okay, guys, only one more segment. And mostly because we haven't seen her for more than a few weeks, it's time for Parenting with Harry Potter. My girl is back! Oh, she's the cutest. I love the difference in all of the parental figures in this chapter. The Weasleys, of course, are a mess. Their daughter was inches away from death, and they didn't even know that their son had gone after her. They could have lost their two youngest in one night! Then you have McGonagall, who is just an absolute nervous wreck. She is so worried about her sweet little Gryffindor babies. And Dumbledore, standing there just as proud as can be. All four of them approach this situation so differently, and it's so wonderful to see that three people that we consider to be really good parental figures and Dumbledore can approach things so differently and still be considered good parental figures. And Dumbledore. He's manipulative. Molly is just relief and hugs and safety. Arthur's trying to make it a teachable moment, even if it's not exactly the right time for it. McGonagall is curious and interested and wants to engage with their story. And Dumbledore, yeah, even though he's like super manipulative later, I think he actually takes really good care of Harry here. He really doesn't hold back from answering any of Harry's questions, and I think he gives Harry as much information as a 12-year-old could probably handle in a moment like this. This was just such a good few pages of just warmth and love and parenting, and it just makes me so happy. Bring us home, kiddo! You guys, so many of you are new here just within the last few days, so thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your subscribing. And Dean, if you are watching this, thank you so much, man, for your support. It has really meant the world to me over these last few weeks. Yeah, I can't say it enough. Like the video, subscribe if you're not already, ring the bell, share the video. And you guys, I'm really hoping to improve the quality of my videos for you guys, specifically the sound quality of my parodies. So if you guys are so inclined and able, only if you want to, please consider checking out my Patreon to support me monthly and help me to be able to afford to buy better equipment to make better videos. Additionally, you can check out my merchandise to also help me afford to make things better. Click the top link to see me theorize about Nagini, or click the bottom link to see me totally stand for McGonagall and Ginny. And as always, subscribe by clicking my faces. We will be back next week to discuss the full book, so do whatever you want to prepare for that. Until next week, happy reading. Knox!